Qiyi MS 4 and 5. So the 4 is a really fast cube, and I can turn it with very little effort. And it has a very soft, smooth and cushiony feel, very similar to my Aochuang GTS1. And honestly, I would say that the MS4 is probably what my GTS1 would have felt if the magnets are weaker. But in general, this thing is just a slightly less stable and slightly lighter, faster version of my Aochuang GTS1 when it comes to just the feel alone. Reason for it feeling a bit lighter, I think it partly stems from the weaker magnets and also from the size, because it's bigger, and if you apply mass divided by volume, like, you will just have a lower density in general. And for the 5x5, it's very similar to the 4x4, also quite fast, but it has a really soft, like, kind of, I would say moist feel in general, although it's like crunchier than the 4x4. In particular, the outer layer is crunchier than the inner layer, and the inner layer does feel similar to the 4x4, although I think the inner layer is also slightly crunchier than the 4x4. As for pops, I would say that these two cubes, as well as literally any other cube I've tried, hasn't given me a pop in a very long time. In fact, I didn't really want to talk about pops in my videos like recently, but I know I have been asked questions about pops. But generally, I would say that regardless of what cube I'm reviewing, if I don't mention pops at all, chances are the cube has never popped on me a single time. For magnets, for the 4x4, the inners are like, they feel twice as strong as the outers, almost as if the manufacturer has forgot to account that, like, to avoid polarity problems, the inners must double their magnets. So, like, the inners just feel like, it feels like they use the same strength magnets throughout the cube, and then the inners have to be doubled to avoid that polarity issue, and then you get a double strength inner. Like, the same problem exists on the Aochuang GTS1 and the Valk IV. On the GTS1, because the magnet slot is flat on top, you can actually stack an extra magnet on top of the existing one, and that would basically balance the inner and outer magnets, and as well as, since the magnets are stronger, the cube is just generally a lot more stable than the MS. Whereas on the other hand, like, the MS, see that the magnet slot is not exactly flat. In fact, the magnet is just held in place by two slots on the side, but then on top there's only one thin piece of plastic, and it's not like a flat roof. So in other words, you can't sit an extra magnet on top of that thin piece of plastic. The 5x5 is a bit different in the sense that the outers actually have stronger magnets than the inners, or at least the outers feel stronger than the inners. But then, like, even though this seems like an ingredient to make accidental RWs or UWs, it has actually never happened to me. And I do suspect that the reason for that is because the raw turning speed itself, when you run from point to point here without the magnets at all, like, when you talk about that quality, the outer layer is actually faster than the inner. And because of that, like, there's more friction to hold the inner layer together as opposed to the outer. So the 3x3 stage on this cube is still quite decent, I would say. For corner cutting, I would say the 4x4, this is where the 4x4 is going to fall short compared to other budget 4x4s, because it really just doesn't cut past one piece forward, whereas this is the Meilong, and this is the Yisu. And then for reverse, like, the Yisu can cut about over half a piece, and the Meilong can cut about also more than half a piece. Whereas if you try to do that on the MS, it will not cut, and in fact exactly half a piece, and it also doesn't cut. And it's only about the size of the Florian hole, maybe plus a little bit more, and then that's where it actually successfully cuts. So the reverse corner cutting on this cube is really lacking compared to other competitor budget 4x4s. Inner layers corner cutting, which is also not very great. And, like, the reverse of the inner layers is also not very great because it's really square off. Compare that, like, the Yisu is just much rounder on the inside. On the Meilong it's not visible because I threw mini Wuxia stickers on my Meilong, so it looks square, but it's actually not that square. For the 5x5, like, just looking at the Florian holes, the 5x5 has bigger holes than the inner layers of the 4x4, and not surprisingly, the reverse corner cutting is just better than the 4x4. For the outers, I think in general this cube does corner cut better than the 4x4, and it doesn't have any, like, really annoying deficiencies. For the size, I would say that both these cubes are a little bit larger than what you would expect from most modern cubes nowadays. So for 4x4, I think the majority of the cubes are going for 60. So this is the MGC4 is 60, and you can compare it. This cube is actually 62. I mentioned it before. So just to show you, this is my Aochuang GTS 161, and it's also a little bit smaller than the MS4. I do think the 4x4 is a little bit big and clunky for modern day standards, and right now my turning style is just really suited towards the 59mm 4x4s. For the 5x5, this one is, I used to really like 63 more than 62 as well, although I've been using my Valk for quite a while, so I kind of have reverted towards 62, but I do think that the size of this 5x5 is quite nice, and if I were to solve on this for a while and get adjusted to the 63mm size, I don't see the size being as big a problem as it is on the 4x4. Looking at the MS4 mechanism, this is just your standard AO series double anchor that like 99% of, probably not this is an exaggeration, but majority of the cubes, so this one is the Meilong, like they all just feature these two anchors, and then the edge will have this zigzag shape that goes around the top anchor, but the bottom anchor is lower than the edge. And if you were to compare that, this one is this is an older cubing classroom MF4S, and you can tell like this cube is just also really, it's the same double anchor, but it's really sharp on the corners of the corner stock is really thick and the pieces are really blocky. MS4 is not as bad as the MF4S, but it's also quite a big stock, and I do think that the space could have been used for something else, because if you were to compare with the Meilong, the corner stock is actually noticeably thinner than it is on the MS4, and the Meilong 4 also looks, it is also rounder than the MS4 in general. Moving on to the MS5, it uses the U mechanism, and which is different from the AO mechanism in the sense where you still have the same double anchor design, but this piece has an extra spike that comes out, and like the top anchor has a hollow trench dug into it, so that this extra spike along the edge, it goes underneath, so it prevents, like with an U mechanism, this piece is not going to slide out. Like it catches onto the corner, whereas with an AO mechanism, let me show you the 4x4, you can just slide it like that. But then like this also comes at the price of like just having more things to hook onto, which explains why the outer layer of the 5x5 especially is just crunchier than the 4x4. Remember what the Aochuang looks like. The MS5 is actually closer to the Aochuang than it is to the Valk I. Although both cubes feature the U mechanism, the Valk I is just thinner in its middle layer, and then it's thicker and when the second layer forms this pack here, it's actually thicker, and compare the second layer packs. This is the MS5, very thin and longer, while the Valk I is shorter and fatter. Both the MS cubes are nice to use, but I wouldn't like call them the best in the market. For the 4x4, I would rate it similar to the Yisu P2M in terms of standard. I'll rate it slightly above the Little Magic because I don't like how slow the Little Magic is. And generally, I think with all three of these cubes, I will get about 48 and maybe 47 if I'm stretching it. But my opinion, like in my opinion, the best budget 4x4, pretty much hands down actually, is the Meilong 4M. It's just straight up my main, beats all the flagship cubes, like except the Aochuang WR, which is also 59. But anything that's 60, 61, and 62, they just straight up don't beat my Meilong. And like I just really like the small size and lightweight of. If you want to complain about the Meilong not having a factory magnetized counterpart, Moi has announced a factory version, but of course there is one disadvantage of the Meilong that may make you want to consider the MS, which is it isn't nice out of the box. I had to break it in to make it nice, whereas the MS4 is just, that one is out of the box. I really do like the cubing. In fact, I do think you can just survive on the factory loops, like without your own personal loops. For the MS5, I would say where it stands among the 5x5s is higher than the 4x4s, but it's also, I wouldn't rank it as the best budget 5x5. I cannot really point out any outstanding shortcomings with the MS5, and I can solve it in like 127, which is like comparable to some of my older cubes. However, I did get faster times on the Little Magic and the Aochuang V2M when I was borrowing them, so in general I would recommend at least like the Little Magic over the MS5. The Aochuang, that one is also quite a different taste because the cube has a stronger inner layer magnet than the outer, so I don't think it has as wide of an appeal as the Little Magic. So yeah, bottom line, I think if you are just here to listen to what is the best cube out there, I'm just going to say Meilong 4, Little Magic 5. But if you do have some opinion about what is your own turning style and your own preference, then I would recommend the MS4 and MS5 if you like really soft, smooth cubes and you don't like setting up cubes, or you're a total beginner who just like doesn't have experience setting up cubes. I do think both of these are quite okay options.